Good afternoon, everybody. Our guest today is Mr. Alphons Joseph Kannanthanam, or Mr. KJ Alphons, who is an Indian civil servant, advocate, and politician from Kerala. He was the former Union Minister of State for Culture and Tourism from September 2017 to May 2019 under the BJP government of Narendra Modi. He is currently serving as a Rajya Sabha MP. Mr. Alphons belongs to the 1979 batch of the Indian Administrative Service and has also served as the Commissioner of the Delhi Development Authority. Mr. Alphons was born in Manimala, Kottayam district in Kerala, India, and was a left Democratic Front supported independent member of the Legislative Assembly for Kanjirapalli constituency in Kottayam district, Kerala from 2006 to 2011. He joined the Bharatiya Janata Party in 2011, and Mr. Alphons was also one of the toppers in the civil services examination and won the Best Collector Award thrice. Under his guidance as District Collector Kottayam, Kottayam became the first 100% literate town in India. He was also instrumental in building a cancer hospital as part of the Kottayam Medical College and started a mass contact program which later won an award from the United Nations. Under his guidance, India ranked third in the World Travel and Tourism Council report in 2018. President Ritesh, may I request you to welcome our honored guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Honorable Alphons Kannanthanam, for joining us today. It's quite an honor and privilege for us to have you with us. Thank you, Rotarian Rashmi, for introducing our wonderful guest. And now the floor is yours.
Hello, you want me to speak now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Ritesh, Rashmi, and office bearers of the Rotary Club of Nairobi, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I think this pandemic gives us a great opportunity to reach across to all parts of the world. Sitting in your house, I think it's a great advantage. So I think we just need to look at the positive things. You know, one is being holed up in this house. Like my wife went out of the compound of my house today for the first time in 6 months. First time she's seeing outside my compound wall. I think it's just crazy. I think it's lunatic, but then we got to make the best out of it. You know, sitting in this room, since Rotary Club is also involved, I was in the road track when I was in college, and therefore I have pretty close association with the Rotary clubs. You know, what we've done is we formed a WhatsApp group in Delhi called Distress Management Collective. And in the last 6 months, we've provided 1 million meals to people. So sitting in your room, you don't have to feel bored. I mean, there are so many millions of people out there who are actually starving, dying, who need help. And the great thing about today's digital world is that you can really help people. And my group has got about 300 people. Most of the people, 99% of the people whom I never met, but we've been so close together for the past 6 months. And we've been reaching out all across the world, reaching out food, medicines, transport. So I think, you know, in a way, the pandemic is bringing the world closer. We also formed, you can see the background, you know, a hoarding called Mother's Meal. You know, my mother died because of the after effects of COVID. She was 91, hyperactive. Suddenly she fell ill. And though she got cured of COVID, but she passed away. So 2 months back. So this we've started this project called Mother's Meal, which was launched on the 15th of August, which is India's Independence Day. We distributed 1,000 food kits, which is about, each kit is about 15 meals to 1,000 families. Our objective is to reach 1 million meals again within the, you know, the space of 1 year. So we're doing pretty interesting things during the COVID. So I'm very happy to be connected with you people. I'm a member of actually, as member of parliament in India, I'm a member of the External Affairs Committee, and Africa comes up very often in our discussions. And I've been asking a whole lot of questions as to how we have to get much closer to Africa, because Africa has amazing people. It's got amazing culture. And of course, to be very selfish, Africa has all the resources of the world, which the world needs really. And therefore, yeah, so it's not only because the humanitarian concerns, and Africa has everything. It's just not only got the soft culture of music and dancers and fantastic people and lively people, but it also has all the resources of the world. Unfortunately, some countries are squandering these resources, and I think that's not good for the world. And therefore, I've been arguing very strongly in the Parliament committee that we need to really get closer to Africa, put our resources there, put more money there, get more students from Africa to come to our universities, because some of our universities are pretty good. And that's the way we could be getting closer. And the Prime Minister, of course, has been great, making the great effort to get all the African leaders into our country. I guess it's once a year. And that's a great occasion where we all express our solidarity, get closer, and of course, share our resources. Well, since I was Tourism Minister of India, I think one country which I really missed visiting was Kenya. I was minister only for 18 months. So I hadn't had the opportunity to visit many of the African countries or many of the European countries either. I've gone to a whole lot of less known places. Of course, I've been to South Africa. Because there was WHO meeting there, and so we all gathered there, and I had some taste of Africa. And of course, I had gone to the memorial for Nelson Mandela, because I had the very great fortune of meeting Mandela thrice when he came to Delhi. So I have kind of very close sentimental attachment to the African continent. Went to South Africa. I was very fortunate. Now, Kenya has so much. Kenya has so much to offer for tourism, because that's one area where I have worked as a minister. And especially your national park, your wildlife, your mountains. I think those are all just incredible. Abseli National Park, which is where you can see elephants at very, very close range. Your Masai Mara National Resort, your Nairobi National Park, where of course you get the large number of zebras and rhinos. Your Malindi Marine National Park, which has got beautiful coral reef and beaches, amazing place. You have the Samburu National Reserve, where you have and of course leopard, all the cat world. Then of course you have Hell's Gate National Park, which is a very, very small park. You have the Sao National Park. You have Lake Nakuru. So Kenya is so full of things which the world need to see, and with so much of exciting things to be seen. But the problem is, the coronavirus has destroyed tourism across the world. As of now, tourism is dead. And therefore, for a lot of countries which were wholly dependent, or a lot of their big percentage of their income came from tourism, like Kenya, and a whole lot of Caribbean countries, and of course some European countries like Spain and France, I think they are all at the receiving end. It's in a really bad shape. Even in India, even though we don't get, I can't boast saying that India is one of the top tourism destinations in the world. Last year I got only 16.5 million tourists compared to what Spain gets, 85 million people. But last year, my revenue from tourism was $234 billion, not million, $billion. That's huge money. After this, actually, 70% came from domestic tourism, because Indians love to travel, and 60% of the travel is actually religious tourism, because India is a place of religion. People love to travel to temples and churches and mosques, and we have incredible number of places. Indian tourism employed 81 million people. And there are some people who think that tourism basically takes care of, let's say, the elite. No, actually, you take the best five-star hotel. More than 75% of the employees working there would be from the lower middle class and the lowest strata of society. Housekeeping and a whole lot of stewards, a whole lot of stuff like that. So even the elite 5-star and 7-star hotels actually employ poor people, people from the lower strata. So tourism is an amazing thing, and most of the tour operators are really small-time people, not rich people. The tourism guides, taxi drivers, auto drivers, the whole lot of supporting infrastructure of tourism basically takes care of the lower segment of society. That's where we employ millions of people. So 81 million people suddenly have no job in India. I'm sure very large number of people in your country, Kenya, is also basically become unemployed. The huge revenue from tourism is gone. This is something which is sad, very sad. And a whole lot of hotels will go bust because, they have to repay their loans. Interest payments are mounting. Some countries actually have given support to tourism in terms of payment of salaries to staff. I don't know how they have done it in Kenya. Some countries like US and Europe, they have probably support for some time. I don't really know how long they are able to support. Now, the whole problem with the pandemic is we don't know when it's going to end. Where are we? Have we reached anywhere near the peak? Is it, are we seeing the kind of decline which we are looking for? Is it still numbers are going up? Now, what we see in India is that the numbers are going up. Initially, we had used the strategy of containment. We locked down the country for something like 3 months. And of course, a whole lot of millions of people traveled back to the villages. Then they were starving, and therefore we had to reopen the country. So now a lot of industries are working now. But the problem is to restart and then restart up to the pre-pandemic level is not easy. And the demand in the economy is not really picked up because a whole lot of people lost their jobs, and therefore the money available in the rural areas is dramatically. Urban income also has come down dramatically. So even though the factories have started working, service centers have started working, to some extent, I would not say fully. And therefore, we don't really know. We don't really know where the global economy is going. I know this year is going to have massive depression. I think it's going to be something much bigger, worse than the depression in 1930. And I frankly don't know when tourism can reopen. And initially, and of course, when the pandemic comes down, I think fairly dramatically, then I think the first thing that will happen is people will start traveling around the local area where they can go on a drive with the family, come back on the same day. And then, of course, then domestic tourism hopefully opens out. And of course, the last thing would be international tourism. Now, since Kenya gets a very large number of international tourists, again, I think things are going to be slow in terms of picking up. So things don't look so good. So where do we go from here? Well, I have no answers. I really have no answers. Well, I guess we got to wait and watch. And in the meanwhile, I think the government should support whoever is working in the tourism industry, the small taxi drivers, auto drivers, tourist guides. I think people who have been working in small hotels. The bigger hotels, I guess, possibly can support their staff. Possibly, I don't even know for how long. So I think governments must come forward. Now, again, depends on how much resources do governments have. India has put in 20 lakh crores into that is 10% of the GDP into fighting as a stimulus to fighting the pandemic. Now, that's very large amount of money as far as India is concerned. We don't really have unlimited resources to be supporting, but we are feeding people for 6 months now. Until November, we are going to feed every Indian who is starving. 80 crore people, that's 800 million people are being given food free. So depending on the resources of the country, at least India is ensuring that nobody is starving, but many other countries can't afford to do that. So I think we need to get closer. I think this is a great time when the world needs to get closer. And I was telling somebody the other day, the whole idea of this mother's meal is India has at least got about 500, 600 million people who have money, who don't starve. If each of these families take care of just another family, there'll be nobody in India starving. I think there would be the same case in Kenya. You have fairly large number of people, I don't really know what percentage, who are well off, at least who get their meals a day, and therefore who can really afford to, feed another family. So I think this is again time for the world to get closer, to be better, because I think the greatest gift from God to any of us is to be alive. I think to be alive is a miracle, and therefore let's all take care of each other. It's a great opportunity for the world to be more compassionate, humanitarian, use our resources better. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I'll be here for a little while more to listen to what is your views, your ideas, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much indeed, Honorable Alphons Kannanthanam, and I'd like to say we are very sorry to learn of your loss due to COVID. We're truly very sorry.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for honoring our request to you to attend our meeting and to address us, even though you're on a personal level going through so much. We are truly humbled. Thank you.
And I'm just running back from the Parliament Committee of External Affairs. Yeah, yeah. So I had to rush from there to be attending this meeting. I didn't complete the meeting actually. I came back halfway through. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We are truly honored. And to respect your time, I will also request our past president, Dr. Manu Chandaria, to kindly give the vote of thanks. And thereafter, we are going to have some questions coming in on the chat group, which will prompt us to ask the individuals to ask the questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, perfect.
Past President Dr. Manu Chandaria, could you kindly give the vote of thanks?
Yeah. Thank you, Rotarian Ritesh, and thank you so much for the Ambassador, Honorable Joseph. I think that you have put up that what's going to happen for the tourism. This is the main issue today being discussed, even in Kenya. In Kenya, we used to have a major number of tourists visiting this country. We had, I think last year we talked about 2 million tourists. The point is this, that tourism, until the countries which are going to send the people start sending again, it's not going to operate. So I think that what is required now is to support as much as possible. Now, I think the Rotary, under the past Rotary Governor Gita Manek, we have provided number of washing units in the various places where washing units does not exist. As one of our foundation, we have also provided food for the whole family to last for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks like that, to about 1,000 people. The point is that this is the time to hold hands. And the way that you have come out and say that if one family looks after the other family, then I think we will be all right. But when you talk about the numbers, then I think we have to be very mindful. But I think the Rotary is doing everything that they could. But I don't think sufficient would be done unless the government realizes that hunger is going to be the major problem as an outcome of after COVID. So I would suggest that the best thing would be is to influence the government in making very sure to bring out people, numbers, and show them that what's happening. Take videos, show them exactly what is on the table in a day. So that is which will awaken the people. I think that we need to have a positive strategy now to make very sure that when you want to say one family helps the other family, that's not easy. It's easy said, very difficult to do it. But basically, I would suggest that now it is holding hands is most important in this particular post-COVID-19 era. So thank you very much for telling us about how India is. But to my way of looking, India's tourism could be double than what it is today. If there is basically the man when he starts, the biggest in the problems is the immigration. And after the immigration is the safety. And then food safety, water, food eating, everything should be in a safer place. So this is what are the issues which needs to be resolved, but it'll take its own time. I think that the president, the prime minister is doing everything that he can. And I'm sure that the way he tackled COVID-19 in the first few months by making very sure that we do not run and move as fast as the rest of the world is moved. And so I must say, thank him very much for his excellent ideology, thought, and support from all the people like you and others. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for telling us about what is the post-COVID era and what we should be doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, our past president, Dr. Manu Chandaria. And whilst we are waiting for Rotarians and guests to submit their questions on the chat group, I will request our treasurer, Rotarian Parul Bhatt, to kindly carry out the Sergeant at Arms duty. Rotarian Parul.
Thank you, President Ritesh. To all the members who are present, it's pleasure to see you all here. And as we see, we have already hit our Sergeant at Arms this week, which is the second highest collection since we started the new Rotary year at 26,500. I can see my dear Kalpa over here, smiling very nicely over there. Kalpa, find another 500 shillings. And Rashmi is trying to see her phone whilst I'm talking. Rashmi, I can be a very tough treasurer, I'm told. But on a lighter note, so there was this church which had a bar next to it. And the church people were always praying that the bar closes down because the bar was playing very loud music. This was pre-COVID situation. So all the followers of the church were praying very hard. And one fine night, the bar caught fire and it burnt down completely to the ground. So the owner of the bar took the pastor of the church to court for arson. So the judge in front of there, and I see our honorable Judge Joyce is there, and she will, I'm sure, agree with me on the verdict that was given. And I see she is already smiling, meaning she has heard this before. So the judge said, what evidence do you have that the church had a hand in burning down of the church? I mean, of the bar. And the bar owner says, sir, but they were all praying very hard for the bar to close down. The justice goes to the church pastor and says, is that true? He says, no, we had no hand in this. Verdict delivered that the barman had a lot of faith in the prayers offered at the church that the bar burnt down, whereas the church followers had no faith in the prayers that they were offering there. So everybody who got the joke, another 500 shillings, please keep it coming. I already posted the pay bill number and the Sergeant at Arms collection. So Rashmi, coming back to you, being on the phone whilst attending a Rotary meeting is not allowed. So another 500, Bob, Rashmi.
But I was looking at the questions.
So you're looking at the questions. Well, I now leave to Justice Joyce. Was the judgment correct or was it wrong?
I can't say whether it was right or wrong because I did not hear both sides of the story.
Ah. Okay, then she was not even paying attention. So I know Justice Joyce is coming in with some good Sergeant at Arms as well. Fellow Rotarians, thank you very much for making an effort to be here with us this afternoon, and have a blessed afternoon. Over to you, President Ritesh.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Rotarian Parul. And Justice Joyce, since you have unmuted, you have a question for our speaker. I'd like you to please present your question first.
Okay, it's already in the chat, but the question is, how is the government of India ensuring that people in the countryside are reached by the distribution of food? I ask this question because I know that India has a very large population, mostly living in the countryside, not the cities. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have for a long time, past 40, 50 years, we have a very vibrant, what you call a ration public distribution system. So in every village, we have a ration shop. It's called a ration shop. So Government of India procures food grains for the farmers at a, it's called the minimum support price, MSP. So the farmers can be assured that when they trade, all things will be picked up by the government at a support price. And that support price means it's 50% more than whatever is your cost of producing it. So the farmer is sure of his grain being procured and at a price which gives him a profit. All this is collected by procurement is done by the Food Corporation of India. And India last year produced something like 280 million tons of, I think, wheat and then equal amount of rice. So whatever is excess which a farmer wants to sell, it's procured by the Food Corporation of India, and then it is distributed to the states. And it is for the states to distribute it then in turn to the villages. And we have a system in which every district headquarters in a state has a depot. It goes down to the sub-district level where you have a depot, and from there it is distributed. And every week, the ration is generally supplied every week, or they have the option of picking up every month. The entitlement is whatever is announced by the government of India. Some states add extra to that. India has got 29 states. So the federal government gives X amount of grains, rice, wheat, and also some cereals, and also sugar and some kerosene. So these are 3 or 4 things which are there in the ration, and that reaches them every month, and that is supposed to be available from the second, around the 10th of every month onwards. It is available morning till evening, and the quality is supposed to be assured. If it's not good quality, the people don't need to pick it up. Now, what this government has done during the pandemic is, in addition to all that, the government of India said, whether you are receiving ration or not, all people who are ration card holders or not, you will all receive adequate food. So the government has announced X amount of wheat, X amount of rice, and also cereals to be supplied to every household. So out of about 1.3 billion people in this country, about 80 million people are receiving free food. They have received it so far from February onwards. Now they will receive up to November, and if the pandemic goes beyond that, they will all be supplied food. So this ensures that really nobody really has to die of starvation. But there are issues. There are people who don't have a ration card. There are migrant people. So the Prime Minister also has announced a package for the migrant workers. Still, we see that in some places, the migrant workers, since they are moving, some of them don't get it. So that is why I have started my organization. We started this WhatsApp group, and we reached over 1 million meals to people. Now, of course, this mother's meal thing, which we are starting, again, it's a supplement to the government effort. Government is doing fantastic job, but then wherever they are missing out few people, so we are picking up those people to ensure that this is done. So India has a very, very vibrant public distribution system which has been in place. And we ensure earlier, some of this food grain used to be, smuggled out to the, to the traders. So this is something which this government has ensured that the public distribution, food grain, cereals and all that doesn't go to the black market. So we have very stringent laws under which they can be arrested and of course taken to the court and punished. So it's a pretty effective system.
Thank you very much indeed. Would it be okay if we take a couple more questions? We'll take 2 questions together. One is from Dr. Margareta Wagasheru, who's joining us from the US. Dr. Margareta, your question can go first, followed by Rotarian Anuja. And the third question will be from Professor Michael Hopkins.
Thank you, President Ritesh. And I wanted to especially to thank Honorable Alphons. I thought he brought out many wonderful points. And of course, the tragedy of COVID is affecting us globally. And I do think that your country is exemplary in its effort to feed the poor and reach out and address the issue of starvation. Your point that the post-COVID issue will be starvation is troubling but true. I wanted to ask, we know we are in an age of globalization, and the pandemic has illustrated this tragically, but surely this is the case. And I'm just wondering, we know that there are the haves and the have-nots, And one of the things that has been brought to light so dramatically is the inequities on the planet. And I'm just wondering, we know that there, individuals there are many well-to-do people. And I wonder, in what ways can we awaken conscience to, just looking at India and the government and what you've just illustrated, how you are reaching out to your people at all levels of society. Will there be a time when rich people can understand the global nature of our survival and the fact that we have lost so much, and how can we reignite when we don't have food, leave alone jobs and whatever? So I'm just wondering, how are we going to affect world conscience and to awaken those who actually have the ability to affect the betterment for all people?
Madam, very good question. See, the problem is man is the cruelest creature of the face of the earth, no doubt. He's selfish. I mean, one of my favorite books is this, The Sapiens. Now, you would have read it. yeah, Harari. I think he's the biggest intellectual of the century. It's just how man has consistently destroyed everything that's in the universe. He thinks he's the master of everything. And the way contemptuously he's dealt with everything, the universe, the animate world, the inanimate world, destroyed rivers and forests, and of course, human beings also. I mean, we are so selfish. It's me, my family, nothing goes beyond that. Hopefully, I'm saying hopefully the pandemic arouses a certain consciousness in us saying that even if you're a billionaire, you can get infected, you will die, and you don't know when. Yes, sometimes you may not even get a ventilator. So hopefully this entire realization, money, 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 money. I mean, according to me, whatever religion you belong to, whether you're a Hindu in India or a Christian somewhere or a Buddhist, there's only one God we worship, and that happens to be money. And I hope this pandemic puts an end to it in some way. I'm not expecting human beings to transform, completely. No. Hopefully realizes there's no point for me to really accumulate and accumulate. It's no point. Madam, I still have only one blue jacket. And that blue jacket I bought 41 years back. I have just one blue jacket. I have, of course, a couple of suits and all that when I travel as a minister. I have just one blue jacket and it's in a good shape. I have one pair of shoes, that's all. And it lasts me for 7 years. Why should I buy another pair of shoes? In my house in Delhi, it's a massive mansion. It's a ministerial bungalow I live in. It's in 3 acres. I mean, it's not like your American house or anything, but it's a decent house. I have 50 people staying in my campus. All those who were anywhere around who couldn't afford. I said, I have about 10 quarters at the back of my house. I said, come and live there. Most of them have lost their jobs. Now we provide them food, we give them the salary, we buy them the medicines, we get the children admitted in college, we pay the fees. Now, yesterday my wife was shopping last whole week on Amazon to get clothes for all these children, not junk clothes, good clothes. Madam, my question is, what is the point of me having lots of money? I don't have lots of money. Even what I have, everything that I get from the parliament as a salary, which I get, I was a career bureaucrat, so I get a pension. Everything of that goes into these people. Why not? And this mother's meal, we are trying to spread the message. Look here, your mothers are taking care of you. I'm sure you're fond of your mother. At least a lot of people are. Please, she's made so much of food for you. Now, just feed another family. Let there be more empathy. I even use the word compassion because a lot of people don't use it. There is no way the rich people are going to get to the shoes of the poor people. We can talk about it, use terminologies. It's not going to happen. At least, okay, don't get into the shoes of the poor. Can you give some money, give some food, give some medicine? I think these are things which need to happen. Is it happening now? I seriously doubt, but I hope it happens. But our WhatsApp group, about 300 people, we've been able to really raise about 1 million meals. That shows where people are getting to be generous. But there is another bunch of people which says, large number says, sorry, these are difficult times. So we don't even know the future. So how will I give you money? My business is not running. But we tell them your business has been running. You have some money, you have a house. Why did you part with that? You don't need to buy another car now. Like my car is about 8 years old. I don't need to sell that car and get another car in another 10 years. It's in great shape. So is my wife's car. Therefore, there are a whole lot of things which we can differ, which we don't need, which can go a long way in educating a child, bringing food, bringing medicine. Why not? I mean, this is how I think, and I think we are getting some people to think on those lines. But I think if the whole world thinks this way, I think there won't be starvation. Very good question, ma'am.
Thank you very much indeed. And we do know that we have to honor and respect your time. Would you be in a position to let us know how much more time we have? 5 minutes?
No, I can take time. Another 10, 15 minutes is not a problem.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from Rotarian Anuja, followed by a question from Professor Michael Hopkins and ophthalmologist Dr. Mukesh Joshi.
Before the question comes, let me tell you a couple of things on the church part.
Yes.
When I went to, my son lives in New York. He lives in Manhattan. So near his house, I saw a church, and there was a massive board outside the church which said, this church still exists because there are still some things which Google doesn't know. There are still some things which Google doesn't know. That's why this church exists. So, I thought the church was being very, very funny. There's another story about faith, which the Rotarian was narrating earlier. There was this massive prayer in a village in Rajasthan, and there was no rain. There's a drought so often. So they're praying and praying. They're walking up to the mountain to pray there, and everybody was going empty-handed. There was one child who was just a 4-year-old child. He was carrying an umbrella. Everybody says, in this drought, why are you carrying an umbrella? So he asked the people, aren't we going to pray for rains? They said, yes. Therefore, how do we go without an umbrella? Only that little child, 4-year-old, had the faith that, yes, my prayer will be answered. I think a lot of us pray, if the God is there, let him hear. Do we have faith? If you don't have faith, don't pray. Absolutely. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That was wonderful, actually. Thank you for sharing that with us. And you're absolutely right. And you also have a wonderful sense of humor. Thank you. Thank you, Rotarian Anuja.
Yes. Hello, our honorable guest. And thank you so much for summarizing the current situation with COVID so quickly and well. And actually, I have to tell you that I listen to a lot of politicians from all over the world. You are the first politician that I have encountered who is predicting that the global economy is going to go into recession, or admitting it rather, because I think everybody who is an economist or has any kind of understanding knows that we're going to go into this recession, into deep depression. My question really is, you have mentioned individual social action, you've mentioned your 300 people group on WhatsApp. You've actually talked about the values and the rising the consciousness, but that's at an individual level. India's CSR policy is the first country in the world to mandate and legislate for CSR proper. And I was wondering what your thoughts are as we go forward and the big businesses continue to exist and continue to thrive in the era of globalization. Do you think that there is a room for an expansion of the scope of CSR? Your government distribution, for example, of food, it cannot sustain only the government doing it or individuals doing it. What is the role of corporations, do you think, in the future?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. India is one of the first countries to introduce a legislation about 4 or 5 years back, saying that there must be a corporate social responsibility, that 2% of your net profit, it must go into social responsibility, into charity. So that's happening pretty quick. And last year, we actually, in the budget, we also brought in a legislation saying that if somebody doesn't do it, you can be criminally prosecuted and sent to jail. Then, of course, there was such an uproar in the national and from the corporate sector. And we removed that legislation. We were planning to have a legislation, but we dropped the whole idea. We said, let's persuade people. We have the legislation in place, but we don't want to criminally prosecute. Now, why did it become necessary to have a law to have contribution from corporate sector? Well, it's the same thing all over. The corporate sector is pretty unkind. People are pretty unkind. If you take globally, I think in India, take for example, we contribute very large amount of money to temples and churches. But how many people really contribute to charity in India? Less than 1%. So I don't really know globally how much it is. But I think the number of people who are compassionate is far too few. Same applies to the corporate sector. Very few of them used to do charity, so we introduced a legislation on CSR. Now, there's a catch here, which you possibly know or you don't know. Many of these companies have got smart and they have set up their own in-house, what you call humanitarian societies. You know, they register a society for charity under the Societies Act and say that, okay, my company earns, let's say 100 crores, we have to put into CSR, and that goes to an in-house, charity house, which will be managed possibly by the wife of the CEO or the chairman. Now, quite a few of them are doing that. Now, that again is cheating your conscience, cheating the poor. I think, of course, some of the companies are really doing it very well. I mean, there are companies like Tata's and a whole lot of people who are doing it really very well. But some people are really actually round-tripping the whole thing, actually. So it's not fair. Anyway, we are very proud that India is one of the countries which has legislated that there must be a role for compassion, for charity. The poor people must benefit because, I mean, you built your company based on, on a loan which you have borrowed, taken from a bank, and whose money is it? It's a people's money. We have bought your stuff from the market. That's where you make money. And therefore, the very fact that the corporate sector is growing, has done well, is because of people. Now, again, because of the pandemic, the corporate sector in India has suffered badly. Most of them are closed down for 3 months. Now, some of them are picking up, but when will they reach a pre-COVID level? But strangely, today, on the Bombay Stock Exchange, the index is fairly close to the pre-pandemic levels. Today is about 39,500. The highest peak was 44,000. So people are still putting money into the corporate sector, into the shares. But of course, as I told earlier, we need a lot more compassion from a lot more people, including the corporate sector.
Thank you very much indeed. And before we go to the further questions, we have some comments. One of our comments is from our past president, Dr. Manu Chandaria, who's a very renowned philanthropist across Africa and globally. And he mentions to me, Ritesh, please thank our speaker as he is an example to many. How many of us will adopt 10 families till we are under this COVID era? Thank you so much, sir. And
thank you, Dr. Manu. Thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah.
And also Anuja has written a comment, what a unique and exemplary politician. And we now have our next question from Professor Michael Hopkins.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Alphons, for a very clear and dynamic speech. I would like to have a good couple of hours having a chat with you about it, but I know President Ritesh.
Come to Delhi, Professor Hopkins. Yeah.
Well, I am actually a professor at the Indian
I
Institute.
didn't tell you one thing before you raise a question. I also feed about 500 birds in my lawn. We have about 25 species of birds, including peacocks. We feed about 300 eagles who come here every day. So that means about 10 kilograms of chicken every day. So it's just not the human beings alone, also the birds and the animals. And I have 10 pets, all adopted from the street. 7 dogs, 2 cats, all adopted from the street. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, wonderful. It's not often that people interrupt me, I must say. We're wonderful. But let me make some quick telegraph remarks. One is I don't agree with you about Sapiens. I think I'm much more positive than that. 2, I think we're in a recession now, but I think we'll get out of it. 3, I don't agree with the 2% CSR. I think it should be much wider and more sustainable than that. But I have 2 questions, if I may. One, on basic income. What is the situation now in India? You're one of the first to pilot a basic income. And I think that transferring basic income to the poorest, and it should be closely targeted, is much more advantageous than giving away goods and food and so on. So I wonder where you are on the basic income. But I think one idea I want to throw in your direction, which I have written about, and I actually work with universities both in Mumbai and in Delhi, and with the team there, and I'm giving a course actually on CSR next week in India, well, from here. What I wanted to mention was the issue of personal social responsibility for tourism. I think there's both a supply and a demand side. I think on the demand side is that when people come to your country, that they should be received, and they know that the hotels and the transport and so on are socially responsible, that people are wearing masks from the airport, from the customs office, and so on. So certainly from the supply of the tourist product, it should be supplied in a socially responsible, personal social responsibility manner. And I know so many of Indians, and this is not a blanket criticism of India, of course not, quite the other way around. The gracefulness of India is well known. I just think that perhaps something from the tourist industry would really help that. And in exchange, I think you should ask the tourists and visitors to your country also to be personally responsible, that they should also respect you and your country, and that they should all wear face masks, and they should also follow the rules when they come into India. So the bargain should be, you do something for me, and I'll do something for you. Sorry to go on for so long after what you were saying, but those are my thoughts for today, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Hopkins. I like people who disagree with me. That means that means we are all thinking. Yes. So there are multiple means of reaching out to people.
Just to add, excuse me, just to add,
Yeah,
I
sure.
agree, endorse, and in 2007 advocated to the then wannabe BJP party officials that 2% CSR was what I would advocate the moment you come into government.
Okay. So thank you for giving ideas to our government. So now two things. One is about our basic income. This government believed that there was massive corruption in the government money reaching out to people. In fact, in 1984, the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, young dynamic Prime Minister, he said, out of 1 rupee which the government spends, only 16% is reaching people. Now, the rest is being eaten away on the way. Politicians, the bureaucracy eats it away. So we said, no, this can't happen. And therefore, Modi government came and, first thing he said was, I will not take anybody's money, and I will not let anybody eat up public money. That's the first thing he said. So he's massively cleaned up the corruption part of it. And he said one of the things which he said we are going to do is directly transfer the money to people so that nobody intermediary can actually steal this money. So what we have done over the past 5 years, 6 years is almost in every sector, from subsidy for fertilizers to a whole lot of, except for basically food. Food still is being physically supplied to people, because we don't want the men basically to take that money and go and get drunk and the family starve, which we can't afford. And therefore, food is still being supplied by the government. But a whole lot of areas, in education, in healthcare, a whole lot of things. Healthcare, for example, today 100% of India's people are covered by the Ayushman Bharat scheme, under which you don't really just go to one of these small-time hospitals. You can go to the best hospitals in the country and get treated, and the government pays 500,000 rupees. I mean, converted into dollar terms, how much would that be? I exactly can't say. 500,000 rupees, which is very good. So any treatment today doesn't cost really more than that. So directly transferring money to people. Over the past 6 years, we have transferred money to something like 250 million transfers we have done, approximately. That was a count last month. And we have transferred more than 1 million crore rupees. That is 10 lakh, 1 million crore rupees. Again, sorry, I'm not good in mathematics, so to convert that, you divide that by about approximately 75, that will give you the dollar terms. So 1 million crore rupees we have directly transferred into the account of people where there was no intermediary which is reached out. So I think this direct transfer has been a fantastic idea. We've done it effectively. We want to move into more and more areas. I think it's a great thing we have done. Number two, of course, on this tourism thing, we have been talking about responsible tourism. Why? It has to be sustainable. And therefore, we've been training our guards, auto rickshaw drivers, taxi drivers, interpreters, a whole lot of people we've been training and saying how to deal with tourists, how to be courteous, how to, you may not exactly know the English language much, but then learn a few words by which you can be helpful, honest, truthful. So, I mean, it has some effects because we are doing pretty well in tourism. See, my total revenue was $234 billion, which I had last year, even though I had only about 16.5 million foreign tourists coming into India. More than 70% of my total income comes from domestic tourism. So Indians are traveling a lot more. So I think things are getting so much better. Modi government has created amazing infrastructure over the past 6 years. I mean, if you take Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Hyderabad airports, I can very proudly say that these 4 airports are as good or better than any other airport in the world in terms of being modern airports. I mean, you keep coming to Delhi often, Professor Hopkins. So, these airports are very, very modern. And of course, our taxis can be better, but with the Uber and with the Indian, chain of taxis now, Ola, well, they are not luxury, but you also have the option of actually asking for a premium car, and therefore which will come to you. So things have improved. The buses have improved. We have now air-conditioned buses. I take the metro. I mean, Delhi metro any day is many times better than the New York metro. It is. It's clean and neat and very cheap, and it's fantastic. So a whole lot of stuff has come in over the past 5 years, past 10 years, which has made things better. We are going to privatize a whole lot of airports in the country, including from my state of Kerala, Trivandrum Airport, which is a government airport, has just been given away 2 days back to the private sector. So, and if you come to Cochin Airport, it's a private airport. I think India's first private airport. It's fantastic, neat and clean, and I think it can compete with the best of the best anywhere. So we have things happening. We have people, well, can be more courteous, but I guess that's applicable to everybody, everywhere. And we're trying to do our best. But unfortunately, I really think, Professor Hopkins, tourism is dead as of now. I mean, it's very, very sad. I don't think people are going to travel.
So don't forget the issue.
Tourism is dead for
asking your tourists to behave themselves too. And I think it's quite, a sign in the airport, respect our rules, respect our people and so on. It's got to be voluntary. It's very difficult to legalize. And I think you'd get more tourists if they know that India is safe. And I know you've been trying very, very hard as well. But I think also the responsibility is on the tourists. I've said this to many other countries as well. And I think the message is slowly getting home. So I certainly would not mind when I'm visiting your country. They say to me, Michael, these are the following things that we're hoping and that we expect from you. And I'm very, very happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also, you see, if you look at the mix of things, like you take India's luxury hotels. I mean, you're familiar with those in Delhi. Some of our hotels provide such amazing service. See, let me tell you my experience when I went to one of the biggest luxury hotel in Chicago. I was in the presidential suite. 2 days there was this tiny little bottle of water, which was on my room. And on the third day, I said, "There's no water." I rang up the reception. Mind you, I'm in the presidential suite as a tourism minister of India, and I rang up the reception. "I have no water." He said, "You can come and collect it from the counter." Now, if in India, if you are staying in a suite, forget about presidential. You'll have at least one person permanently posted there. And if you go to the restaurant, you don't have to cart your luggage up there. I mean, you have fantastic service, the kind of courtesy which you find in the restaurant, in the hotel, the services. I don't think the kind of services which is provided in Indian 5-star hotels, you find it anywhere in the world. Because we have the manpower, and they're of course trained, and our chains are very, very good. But of course, down the line, when you go down, yes, there are deficiencies in the service which we are trying to improve. Like one of the big things which, let's say one group called OYO, he picked up all these, lower mid-segment hotels, upgraded all of them, created millions of rooms. So we are upgrading things. We are not perfect. Yes, we still have our potholes. Yes, we have issues. We have flies, we have mosquitoes, yes, but we are trying to get rid of all these things. We are after a country with 1.3 billion people. Our per capita income is not so high. Our priorities we can't put all the money into tourism, but a whole lot of other stuff. We have to ensure that our people are fed, they are educated. So yeah, plenty of issues which are important.
I agree with you, and I can just say that all I find whenever I go to India and we're talking about flies, time flies by too quickly.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor, and thank you for the wonderful questions and for the answers as well. Do we have any further questions? One last question. District Governor-elect Sridhar, do you have a question? Or Past President Gopinath, do you have a question? No. Well,
no, thank you, President.
Past President Gopinath?
No, thank you, President. I've no questions.
Thank you. And District Governor-elect Sridhar?
No, I concur, and mostly I'm very happy that His Excellency Alphonse has brought in the very lively picture of what we are going through, and I'm really honored to listen to him today. If not in India, at least I'm able to listen to him in your club in Nairobi. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
PDG Krishna, I thank the speaker for the excellent way he spoke about India. I wish we have a minister like him. Let him come and again to India back as a tourism minister. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your good wishes.
Thank you very much indeed, Past District Governor Krishna Swamy from India. Thank you to all who attended today, and most of all, sincere gratitude to our speaker, His Excellency Honorable Alphons Kannanthanam. It's truly a great honor to us that you gave up many of your duties. I'm sure a gentleman of your stature must have far too much to do and too little time to give. And you've actually given us a lot of pointers as to what we should do in Kenya, because we have to borrow this leaf from everything which you have shared with us. The one thing which I do agree with you absolutely is the hospitality available in Indian hotels and resorts. It's unmatched across the world. That is a fact. And thank you so much for also letting us know in your private capacity that you feed birds, animals, humans alike. There's so much to learn from you. I think everyone has thanked you for the many items which they wanted to thank you for, so I don't want to repeat that. But what I'd like to say is I don't think I've come across many gentlemen like you, so thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ritesh. Yeah, you're very kind. Yeah, very kind.
Here, here.
So thank you, Ritesh, so much, and may your Rotary Club flourish and really spread, this great news that we are one. Ultimately, the Indian philosophy is very simple. Vasudeva Kudumbakam. The universe is one. Animate, inanimate, everything is one. And therefore, unless we exist together, and happily, I think nothing else is going to happen. So Rotarian Ritesh, Rotarian Dr. Manu, Professor Hopkins, and a whole lot of people. Sorry, I've not noted down everybody's name, please. So pardon me. I'm growing older, so pardon me. I don't remember everybody's name. Thank you so much for the questions, for the kind words, and have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I now close the meeting. I call the meeting to an end.
Out of project, we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritesh.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Past President Gopinath, Past District
Thank
Governor Krishna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, President. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Ritesh, I used to come to Kenya several times.
I see.
And we do a lot of projects in Kenya.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Along with Ravi and a group of people, we came last year, right? Year before last year.
Okay. Very recently. Well, upon your
Thank
next
you
visit.
for wonderful meeting. Thank you for, I thank for making arrangement for this wonderful meeting. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And to all present, before I close, I'll just let you know about our future meetings. Next week, we have a panel discussion for early childhood development on Thursday. The following week, our district governor is visiting us, and we have 5 new members joining the club. These are very prolific individuals, luminaries in East Africa who are joining our membership. On 11th of September, our club turns 90. So we are going to have our 90th charter anniversary with the Past Presidents Forum in the evening.
Hello. Okay, you tell me. No, I will not be able to come today.
And the following week, we have a wonderful friend, and she's a beautiful singer in India. Her name is Shilpa Rao. She won the Filmfare Award for a beautiful song she sang last year. And she's going to be joining us to have a conversation with us about music. And the following week, we are going to have a panel discussion about women in science, which is going to be chaired by Ambassador Judy Wakungu, who was the PS of Environment in Kenya and is now serving as a Kenyan ambassador to France. So I invite you to all of our future meetings, and I'll definitely share the Zoom links as I have in the past. Thank you all for attending. Thank you.
Hello, President Ritesh.
Yes.
Gopinath here.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know this Monday, August 31, at 3 p.m. Indian time, we are having our meeting with the Nobel laureate Mohammad Yunus as the chief guest.
Wow.
And also Shekhar Mehta as the guest of honor. So I will send you the link. I will send you the link, and I would request you as well as your members to join in.
Definitely. Thank you.
Monday, 31st of August.
I'll make a note of that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think Zoom is a blessing. It's made the world connect.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Rashmi, thank you for this wonderful guest today. And it went so well. And we have.
Really happy about that. I didn't expect him. I didn't know all these things about him. I had heard that he was very honest and he's very, principled, and he's very high in integrity. But I didn't know all these things about him, what he's been doing. I really enjoyed his, his approach, the way he's, he's very proactive.
Past President Mohammed Ali, thank you for your support and for always joining us, and well, for congratulating us. Thank you.
Margaret, I wanted to have a conversation on the book. I don't know if she's there. I've sent her I think she's not there.
Rashmi, actually, you are right. There are many things about him which must have surprised you as well.
Yes.
But what really I was taken aback is how warm, friendly, and I think he had a wonderful sense of humor.
And now I understand why he was saying that don't call me minister and this and that. He's not that kind of a person, He's so away from all the trappings of being a minister and all that. And I had read in his wiki that he spent 1 year in a slum, sorting out their issues. His wife has been working there for a decade now, but she works with a group there, and they sort of, make those slums livable. But he actually lived there for 1 year.
1 whole year.
1 whole year he was living there.
That's a
to
sacrifice.
understand what life was over there. And I don't think I know anybody who has lived for 1 year in the slum voluntarily. So he's special.
Especially for the betterment of the country, to understand how things work at different levels of society, to go voluntarily into an informal settlement area out of the luxuries of your own lifestyle and everything. I think he's a very probably a very spiritual person to do that. Even beyond someone who wants the betterment of the country, I think there's a lot of spirituality there.
And you know what he's done? Like, I know these minister bungalows are very large. Like in Kenya, a 3-acre house is like okay for some people, but in Delhi, like to have a 3-acre house is a huge thing.
It's huge.
And you see how he has sort of shifted families inside, you know, to get to utilize it more. I think that really speaks a lot about his personality. Says a lot for him.
I like the fact that he's feeding birds and feeding animals and adopting animals and taking care of humans and feeding families, and it's quite interesting. And Rotarian Nelly, past President Nelly, thank you as always for joining us from Rotary Club of Embu. And please do convey our best greetings to all members of your club. Dr. Margareta, I think we will have to organize a meeting.
Because I think only both of us are there. They're just on, but they're not responding.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Margareta also. Actually, she wanted to talk, so that's why I'm linking. This is my Rashmi's iPhone is here because I was losing battery.
Oh, there was a connection issue. I think Margareta is off. Okay, in that case, Rashmi, thank you. Thank you for this incredible speaker. And it worked out. It actually worked out. You know the thing is, PDG Geeta was there today. And in as much as Anuja is claiming, I'll tell you honestly, she was there today because I told her.
I know. I also got that, that she's come because of me. Oh my God. I was thinking.
No, Geeta was chatting with me and she was telling me that, Ritesh, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm delighted. This was a wonderful speaker. I'm sorry I have to leave, but keep me updated with your future speakers, and I will make time to join some of your speakers.
Wow. That's quite a compliment.
Yeah, she'll make time. So, and I'll ask Geeta at some point that she can use her influence to get all the internationals to join us during some of our meetings.
Also, which people do you think you would like? Who do you want?
Maharaja. If we get a Maharaja this year, we are good.
Maharaja you'll get. Too much is happening. Like Maharaja, Shelly is not back because of COVID. Once he's back, then we can pitch for him. Very easy.
Oh, by the way, cheers. Now I've changed.
I am asking for coffee. मुझे बोलना जरा मुझे एक कप कॉफी दे दे.
What is that juice?
This is Coke, Diet Coke. I'm getting my coffee.
Well, I think the meeting went well. I'm just going to now